Can I get some claps in the chat? Just kidding. Fix my camera. The money maker. Gotta see the money maker. Reason people go up. There we go. That's right. Screenshot that. Send it to your friend. All right. Okay. So he says later on, you can't multiply any common numbers to get 43. So I think what he means by that is what I said earlier. Then I asked him later on down in the comments about what he means by common numbers. Right? If I say common numbers, I bet you'll list numbers like 5, 1, 2, you know, numbers that pop up a lot. What do they all have in common? 5, 1, and 2. 7, 8. Single. Ooh, they're single digit. What about 35? I'll throw that in there. Good point. 35, 1, 8, 9, 12, 7, 0, 6. They're all not decimals, right? So I think it's what he means by common numbers, right? There is a root to 43, but it's not a nice number. So there's actually a name for that. So down here in the comments, I actually link him to a little article that talks about the different types of numbers, like integers, irrational numbers, stuff like that. Stuff you might remember from algebra, but probably not, because you did it at the beginning of the year and then never talk about it ever again. It was like, why do we learn that? In my algebra class, we used that a lot, or at least we did. All right, so I say for a comment, excellent start, Chase. I really like the formatting with the bold headings. It made it easy to read. Explain the 9 and 1 thing for 25, right? Isn't it more like 9 and 0? Also, here's a picture you can include. I included this guy, right? So you could make the article a little bit easier to read. Perhaps you could ask the question to let people know what you're talking about. And he asks it actually here. And I did not notice that. That was my bad. But that's probably pretty common for people. They don't read the heading, right? Another reason to include a picture. Also, would you be able to make your own which one doesn't belong? I always include a little comment if I can about where they should go next, right? And Chase did a really good job. Like, could he come up with more reasons for each number? Sure, but like, who cares? Right? Maybe they're really interesting, but maybe we're just trying to nitpick. The next thing is to create your own version. You can use numbers, shapes, whatever, pictures, right? Memes, I don't care which one doesn't belong. Keep your reasons to yourself, but make sure you have at least one for each number. Don't have them just be random. I think that's how you can go further with this if you so choose. Again, my comments are always optional. I would hope if you wrote about it in the first place, it's because you care about the problem. And so you'd want to go back and do more with it. Because otherwise, like, why did you do the problem to begin with? But if you're like getting bored with it, don't do any more with it. Move on. Also, what do you mean by common numbers? And again, I sent him a little link there. Look at another one. Aha. Term-free classroom. All right. I love the memes. Second hour. Let's take a look. Take a look at Laurel's. Now that is a page I want to look at. Look at this. That's a quality photo. And then we have a pigeon with a hat. Not really a 10-gallon hat. It's more like a 10-milliliter hat. And then we have this, which is what you guys all look like on Zoom calls. Hello. How many beans can you fit in a 4x4 cube? Do you always have to do the problems we talk about in class and that I offer you? No! The best problems are the ones that you decide upon. That's Lockhart, right? How many beans can you fit in a 4x4 cube? Asking for a friend. Okay, so how many beans can you fit in a 4x4 cube? I'm not very good at math, so I'm starting this simple. The cube looks something like this. This could be a kid's book. I love it. The cube. Now that is an appropriate use of a caption. Look how it's spaced out. That's art. So we need to find how many beans can fit into that cube. Obviously, whenever I see a cube, that's what I think. We can find volume by multiplying length times width times height. The cube is 4x4, so to find the volume, we'd have to do 4x4x4, which equals 64 cubic inches. Ah, we're talking about 4 inches for the cube. Good to know. Now we need to find out how many beans fit into 1 cubic inch. We're assuming these beans are baked beans drained from their sauce. navy beans are what are usually used in baked beans. When uncooked navy beans are about 1/6 of an inch based off navy beans. Oh, little typo. That's okay. Navy beans are about 1/6 of an inch based off this image. I measured a quarter with a ruler and found that it was just short of an inch. Good reasoning. Uncooked beans are about 1/6 of an inch. When the beans cook, they can expand up to 3 times their dry size. Knowing this, each bean is about 1/2 inch long. 3 times 1/6 is 1/2. Since I don't know how to work with circles, we're just going to assume the beans have corners. What scientists theorize the angled beans look like. So this is a theoretical bean. So the beans are 1/2 inch by 0.2 by 0.2, give or take. They would be 0.02 cubic inches, meaning we would need 3,200 beans to fill a 4x4 glass cube with corner beans. Yeah. That's a lot of beans. My comment. 3,200, that's quite a bit. How do you feel about that answer? More than you expected? Less? When you say that the beans expand by a factor of 3, what do you mean by that? Do they expand in all directions equally? If you want to say they do for the sake of simplicity, would that make them 0.5 by 0.2 by 0.2? The way you did it only expanded the bean in one direction. She expanded it in this direction. The other one she left alone. I'm not a beanologist, so I'm just asking questions. Be sure to go back through this and include units when appropriate. I think the answer, the bean dimension. I think after the answer, the bean dimensional discrepancy. What? The next step would be to investigate more types of beans, or perhaps the relationship between cube size and bean containment volume. How many more beans are contained in a 1-inch cube than a 4-inch cube? Is there some kind of mathematical relationship between the results? As the cube gets bigger, how much more beans fit inside it? Is it always the same? Bean scientists want to know. Lastly, I do think you would be interested in the green square problem I posted on Google Classroom. Pretend the squares are beans. Beans have some basic needs. All beans must be connected by faces, not corners. Bean connection must have a clear start and finish, blah, 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 blah. Write about your attempts. I want you to go look at some other people's stuff and see what they're doing. There's some good crap here. And it doesn't need to be long like Laura Lee or Chase, okay? You can do short posts. It just needs to be saying something. I've read some posts that are long and have lots of sentences that don't say very much. Okay. We're all learning. Do something you're going to be proud of. Make attempts. If you have questions, please see me. Go look at other people's stuff. Have them look at your work. This is communal. Oh, I got a notification. Go check out other people's stuff. Remember, I included the codes in one of the emails so you can sign up for other classes. Check out their crap. Look at Lexie's. She did x plus 12 equals x minus 30. He says, if this problem is correct, that means the x isn't the same number on both sides. Now, I'm wondering why that is. The x could absolutely not be the same on both sides because whatever the number it is may be a positive or a negative, but the x is being subtracted on one side but added on the other side. I'm not sure what that means exactly. Maybe pictures would help. She's on to something. She's right that if x is the same, it can't be true, right? How can you take one number and add 12 to it and have it equal the number after you take 30 from it, right? But then also, what if the equal is in the wrong spot? It could go between the x and the 12, but then also go between the x and minus 30. So she's exploring moving stuff around in the problem, which is okay. Sure, if you want to do that. Kind of changes the problem, right? Yeah, sure. If the x was between x and the minus 30, the problem could be this, meaning x would be equally negative 21, so blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's a decent start. My question to her is, why did you write about this problem? Why do you care about this? She did 5 of them, and usually when people do a lot of posts, it's because they just want to do a lot of posts, right? They're worried about their grade or whatever. And maybe she's not, but I'd like to know, like, why you write about this problem. What's interesting about it? Would you share this problem with somebody else, right? If you were a math teacher, would you be like, hey, let's take a look at this? If so, why? What makes it important? Go back to second hour. Hi, Rowan. There are lots of really good ones to look at here. Look at Haley's. So Haley talks about 7 plus 7 equals 2, I think is what she wanted right there, but she did a plus sign instead, right? Missed the shift key or something. Because there are two 7s being added together in the equation. 1 7 plus 1 7 is 2 7s. This problem is interesting to me because we know that 7 plus 7 equals 2 is wrong because we were taught that that's not the answer, but maybe it is. Okay, there's a little bit of why that might be interesting to her, and that's good. That's a key sentence right there. Without that, the rest of it would be kind of boring. We got a little bit of an explanation. I don't need lots of explanations of why that could equal 2. I don't need lots of answers. I don't care about that. Is it good to have answers? Sure, why not? You okay? Take this and just open it up and just pour it down my throat. I told you about the email I almost sent last year, right? The superintendent. We got that big old bottle. It's like, dear Mr. Superintendent, thank you so much for the hand sanitizer. I think this will be very helpful, right? However, you seem to have only included 1 straw. How are we supposed to share this as a class and have it be sanitary when we're drinking from only 1 straw? Please send more. Kindest regards. We never did get more straws. I don't know. Maybe it cleans it as you drink it. Why don't we put hand sanitizer in everything we drink? Problem solved. Problem solved. Put it in the food. You can make stuff that tastes like anything. I'm a vegetarian. They make crap taste like meat. Go and check out some of the stuff on here. There's some really good posts. And I think you guys can tell a good post from a not so good post. So don't bring me your D game and be like, oh, sorry.
That's what she said.
Okay. Don't bring me that. Bring your A game. Something you're going to be proud of. Not embarrassed to have me show it as an example. That's okay. Are you embarrassed because it sucks, or are you embarrassed because you're always embarrassed? There's a difference, right? Yours was good. I love that picture of Mike Tyson and the pigeon. Nope. Please. So Rowan wrote about the problem u minus 6 squared minus 32 equals 0. You guys remember that one at all? This guy. Right. Throw it up on here. And she wrote it kind of as a story and talked me through her logic and what she was thinking in class and what she was thinking while she was doing it. Is this problem, remember that? Something minus 32 is 0, so that something must equal 32, right? We just used logic. We thought about the math. We didn't do the math. Now, the brilliant part of this is that if you just did PEMDAS, you'd get the exact same thing, right? What's the first step in PEMDAS? Probably adding 32 to both sides. What's the next step? Rooting. What's the next step? Adding 6. But PEMDAS just says, do it, don't think about why. Whereas this method of thinking about it gets you the exact same result, and it makes sense. Something minus 32 is 0. Well, the something must be 32, right? Something squared is 32. Well, that's about 5. That something must be about 5. Something minus 6 is about 5. Well, it's about 11. And so she talks about this. Today in our geometry class, our teacher gave us a problem. It was simple, pretty easy to solve, but we weren't supposed to solve it. Well, not like we were taught to. He wanted us to think through the problem, to break it down and see different ideas, and not just go, oh, I see a problem with a variable, got to use PEMDAS. The problem was this. Now when you look at this, I immediately started thinking about how to break down the problem and find what u is. That's not what we did, though. We said it like this. Something minus 6 squared minus 32 equals 0. So obviously that something minus 6 squared has to be equal to 32, because how else would you subtract 32 and get 0? Right? She talks you through the logic. I want to know what you're thinking. Even if what you think is wrong, I want to know what you're thinking and why. Continuing to use this train of thought, therefore the square root of 32 is part of the answer, right? So now we have u minus 6 must be the square root of 32. Oh, you can't see it. Now we have to figure out what the square root of 32 is. Well, not exactly figure it out, but make a nice guess. And again, why are we allowed to guess? Because root 32 isn't going to be a nice number. You're going to have to round eventually, right? So why not just round in your head? Don't get a calculator out. She says, this is where I started to get lost a bit, but I eventually figured out. Guessing it has to be somewhere around 5 to 6, right? Because 32 is between 25 and 36, right? I'm going to go with 6 because it's easier on my head. We can argue which is better, 5 or 6 as an approximation. Who cares? We're estimating. Now, with using a little brain smarts, we have u minus 6 is about 6. And continuing to use these brain smarts, we get u is about 0. Wait a minute. U minus 6 is about 6. 0 minus 6 is about 6. You read that minus sign as a plus sign, didn't you? Now, she'd been smart the entire time and had really great thoughts and answers. She made a small mistake at the end here. Who cares? It happens. I'll point it out. She can change it. Right? I fixed my entire car, took about the entire engine, put it back, and was fine, and then screwed up an oil change, right? And then figured out what was going on. That didn't make me dumb. I don't think so. I was able to take apart my whole car and put it back. Same thing here. That last little mistake doesn't ruin everything else. Oh yeah, sorry, Rowan. Good stuff. Again, you don't have to include a whole story. You don't have to do that. But talking about your thought process is essential. Sometimes it's going to take more. Sometimes it's going to take less work. Do something you're going to be proud of. Bring me your A game. Don't wait until a couple days later to start writing about what happened in class or what you thought about it. You're going to forget about it. Do it immediately after. Theron has great memes. I want every page to look at that. I know you're gonna do what you want, but like this is the ideal form. Sorry. No debate. Look at these pictures. This top stuff. People go to Reddit to find stuff like this. You can just go here. Theron writes about what could n be, looking at this problem. Clearly states the problem, right? He just stole the image that I posted. That's fine. So we're going to go from small to big. He talks about his thought process. My first thought was that n could be 4, right? Just randomly, why not? But we run into an issue where 8 times 4 is greater than 4 squared. So if you look here, if n is 4, we get 8 times 4 here. And here we get 4 squared. Well, 4 times 4 is always going to be smaller than 8 times 4. I don't even need to do the math, right? That's a problem. Okay, good. Walking me through the thought process. So 4 doesn't work. My next thought is that n could be 16. I mainly chose 16. Again, why did you choose 16? I mainly chose 16 because it fixed the 8 times n and n squared issue. So it fixed the issue we had before. Because 8 times 16 is always going to be more, or always going to be less than 16 times 16, right? Guaranteed. Now a new problem arises. 36 divided by 16 is always less than root 16. Root 16 is about 4, right? The root 16 is about 4. 36 divided by 16, that's smaller. That's a little more than 2. It points out another problem. Again, not necessarily finding solutions. If Theron had stopped right here, that'd still be a decent post. Didn't find any answers, but found out what didn't work, right? And explained it really well. Thought about n could be 8. Everything remained true throughout. Then there's a bit of a brick wall, that being 8 and n squared again. So he gets it all the way up to here correct, and then this is a problem. And why is 8 a problem for these last two selections here? Why would 8 not work? It works for all the rest, but why doesn't it work for these two? What happens if we plug in 8? Hello? We plug in 8 for n. What happens here? Remember, we want to go from smallest to biggest. Nobody? What's 8 times 8? Oh, what's 8 squared? It's the same thing as 8 times 8. You didn't even know what 8 times 8 is. That's fine. 8 times 8 is the same as 8 times 8, right? So it doesn't go from small to big. It ties. But that's interesting. Points of tie mean that if we go one way or the other, we're going to break that tie, right? When we want to break that tie, we shouldn't have to go much farther than 8. The main issue is that if 8 and n, both of these end up being the same number, right? He explains this. A game next week. I'll see you guys online tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Annie, I hope you start walking better or get a better backpack. I'm sorry. Let me know how I can help. Mika, snitches get stitches. Why is that?
Really rough.
Next, okay.
Yeah.
Arthur Miller. The Crucible? I read it. Oh, what happened? First hour thing?
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, they said they're supposed to get it in second hour, but
I don't know either.
okay.
Yeah. Like, you're gonna save it most. Love you, bye. So apparently you're supposed to fill out like an expectation thing.
Yes,
Somebody told me to fill it out.
I haven't
Right,
done
that's what I thought too.
It's in your 7th hour.
I haven't got my 7th hour class.
I was told to ignore it, I thought.
What's about this?
Well, if your parents want to use that information, conveniently enough, I have. So that, or you can, have a conversation with them, maybe. Here at Highcliffe, there is a page in here at the bottom that has like a little sign return. I'm gonna be honest, I don't care whether I get it back. If you want to bring it back, that's great. Your parents have that. Mr. Bielema says, hey, do parents know what you're doing in math class? You can say, yes, look. That would help me out. But if you don't want to do that, it's fine. It goes over how we're doing things and what we're doing. I'm going to go over those some more. Are you playing Red Dead?
Supposed to be stapled.
No. Hi, Lindsay. All right, let's do attendance real quick, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about what we're going to do today and what some expectations are. So I sent you a bunch of emails recently, and I apologize for that. The reason for that is because instead of typing in everybody's name individually when I want to email a class, at the beginning of the year I make a group. And so when I type in geometry period 1, everybody's name pops up. Problem was when I did that, classes hadn't changed or been set in stone, and so people moved. And so all my old emails that I sent you guys, some people weren't getting. And I didn't know who was and who wasn't, so I just resent them again. However, I did send you 2 emails recently that you need to pay attention to. Let's do attendance first, and then we'll move on. So Lindsay's here, Geneva's here, Skylar's here, Maddie's here, Carter is here, Rowan is here, Cliff is here, Steven is here. I'm missing Adam. Adam!
I don't know what this is.
I don't know.
I didn't even get it.
I got the thing, but then it said if you don't have a 7th hour class, ignore it. And it's like, oh, that's me. I'm one of those lucky guys that has no 7th hour class and has to wait all the way to the end of the day before I get a break. All right, Nevaeh's here, awesome. Adam is here. Well, I'm not sure, but if your parents want to see that stuff, it's on there. I'm sure we'll go through version 2 of this tomorrow of filling out this sheet if we need to do it. That's my bad. Just waiting on Max, the only person that I don't have yet. All right, so if you go to Google Classroom, let me get this up on the screen here. Sorry, not Google Classroom. If you go to your email, you should have got an email that looks like this from me. And if you click this link, it's the most recent email. The one before that I forgot to include the link. I included a Google Meets thing and all that. If you click this, it'll send you to a calendar, and if you go to the next week, what you have to do is click the little arrow up here. It'll send you to the next week. I have portfolio times that you can meet. Notice Wednesday I have all day from 8 to 3. 10-minute intervals. I have 69 nice students this year. Exactly. So 5 minutes for 69 students takes up pretty much the whole day. I've got some overflow before and after. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'll have the option from 2 to 3 where you can sign up for a time. I would encourage you to sign up early, not late, because if somebody bombs it right? And they really just did a really crappy job. They might want to use Thursday or Wednesday to fix their issues, right? So going early is always a good idea, right? Yeah, that's fine. You can do that. I don't need you to sign it necessarily, Steven. It doesn't matter to me. It's just an option. I'm not going to give you like a 0 until you know, bring that back or something. I think that's silly. What? Sign up for portfolio conferences next week. We're doing them on Wednesdays, but you can also do early on Tuesday or late on Thursday if you want. I would encourage you not to do late on Thursday, because if you bomb it, then you have no other time to make it up, right? That's not good. Yeah, so we're going to do it on Wednesdays when everybody's home. That way you don't have to be in class on Wednesday for me at all. Yeah, you can sign up now if you want. You do have time during the day on Wednesday. Well, you have to attend my class between now and whenever it ends, right? So sign up during that regular time. All this does is give you flexibility. So if you, like my first hour class, if they know that they're going to have time later in the day to sign up.
It's like,
What do you... The blue ones are the only ones that are full. Well, click the gray ones. Those are the ones you can sign up for. You click a gray one, and you go in and enter your name in the description so I know who it is. Okay, you can do that. But I've got people in first hour that are like, oh my god, I don't want to wake up at 8 for this on a Wednesday.
8:05.
And that's fine. I don't care. That's fine. I would rather them have the option to sign up later if they want. If you guys are like, oh my god, I won't have any time, then just sign up during my regular class hours, right?
What?
Our regular class hours are for third hour from 9:27 to 10:01 on our early dismissal schedule. So you have an option. You can either do it on Google Meets, and I sent you a link in the email before that. We'll always use that Google Meets link. So save that, bookmark it, right? Or you can do it on Discord, which is what a lot of my students did last year. Discord is a let me show you what Discord looks like.
Okay, my Discord, every time I go get it, my app, I need a credit card.
It's free.
Yeah, my app's
So this is Discord. My Discord right here. This little symbol thing here. I've got some other ones I'm a part of. Like Mark Star Heroes. You know who Mark Star Hero is? Yeah, you do. Legend. Man's got great hair. So jealous. Anyway, Mark was my student last year, so he's cool. And he was one of my mods for Discord for a while. So we talk about a lot of dumb stuff in here. Obviously, that's true. But also there are places to ask questions about geometry. And there's places to ask questions about algebra. And then we also have some general math discussions where we talk about math in general. And they're not just me on there giving answers. It's other students that have been in my class before. I also have people from all around the world that can answer your questions at any time, day or night. I have a lot of friends around the world. Like I met a kid yesterday. He's not a guy that you probably want to get advice from, but I met a kid from the UK the other day and helped him with math for about an hour between 2 and 3 o'clock. He was doing some basic geometry, you know, area and stuff. Need some help.
From the UK are awesome.
We've got memes. We've even got some video games. Description, put your name and then where you want to meet, either on Discord or whatever. I gave you the link to Discord. Steven joined recently, so shout out to Steven. In fact, there's Aaron right there. That's the kid I was working with yesterday in the corner. But you can, this is a really good, quick way to message me anytime, day or night, or ask questions of your classmates. And there's also down at the bottom, there's like some voice channels. And so we can use that voice channel to have our conference, right? I can go down to the, where is it? Where is it? I thought I had another voice channel on here. Anyway, we can go to the general voice channel. And you'll be able to hear me. You can have like a phone call conversation instead of having to worry about logging into Google Meets and all kinds of stuff, right? You can just go down there, click it, and if I'm in there, you can talk to me and hear what I'm saying. You can see my little things turning green as I talk. Right? Down here. And I can also share my screen with you. It's super easy to use. And Discord is very rarely down, whereas Google Meets and stuff, we found out, is not exactly reliable. So you can go on there or just do Google Meet. Doesn't matter to me. Once you get Discord, which you cannot get in your Chromebook. That's the #1 reason why I'm not having it be the main way to do it, because it's so easy. But I'm not making it the main way because you can't do it on a Chromebook. If you don't have a smart device or a computer at home, you won't be able to use it. But if you have it on your phone, it's easy to get the app and then just like hit a button to talk. And we can just have a conversation back and forth, and you can look on there. Again, up to you. Up to you. What I'm going to do when we have our portfolio conference is I'm going to record it. On Discord, there's a bot that I can run that will record our conversations, and then I can save that conversation. Because what I was doing on last Friday was we'd have our conversation, I'd write down your letter grade that I gave you, right? And I'd have to like take notes of what we talked about. And I thought to myself, like, why do that when I could just hit record? And then your parents, if they want to hear why you got a B or an A, can hear our conversation. Or if you want to go back and be like, what did he say that I needed to fix? You can just click that link and it'll be the conversation we had. I was going to type out in Skyward my comments, but apparently Skyward has like a 140 character limit in comments, which if you know me is not going to fly. I can't do anything in 140 characters. So I figured I'd put the link in instead to the recording, and your parents can click it if they want it, or you can click it. But yeah, if you want to join Discord, I sent you guys the link. You can use that anytime on your smart device. It just won't work on your Chromebook. But it's a great way to ask questions. Like I said, I've got like pretty much all of my students last year on here, more or less frequently. People from all over the world. I've got students that are in like college now that are still on here, getting help. So up to you if you want to do that. The other thing is Google Meets. Again, your call. Talked about portfolio, talked about the syllabus. Today I want to look at what makes a good post on your portfolio and what makes a good comment. So I'm going to look through some examples. Remember, I don't tell you that you need to post a certain number of posts. Like, everybody needs to do 5 posts a week. No. I don't do that because I'd rather read 1 really good post than 5 really crappy posts. And maybe you aren't interested in 5 different things we did that week. Maybe you're only really interested in 1 of them. Don't write about it if you're not interested. And if you need help getting interested, talk to me. I don't know, Google's slow. Let's take a look at what some good posts are. Next week, I need you to bring your A game. Some of you still need to meet with me about your portfolio from last week. We probably won't have time at the end of class. You'll need to schedule a time with me to get that done. Steven, don't worry about it. We'll just move on to next week for you. Totally fine. I said if we had time at the end of class, we'll do it, but I don't think we will. Yeah, don't worry about it, Steven. Oh, the voice thing? Sorry, Rowan, I didn't see what you're saying. Nah, it's okay. I appreciate the offer. So, you can join any of these classes. I sent you in one of the million emails I sent you yesterday, forwarded to you, the links to get into these other classes, right, to join them on Bulb. And it's a good idea because then you can look at other people's posts and get ideas for your own. So I'm going to go to First Hour and click on their members. Again, you can click on any of the stuff here, but this is kind of overwhelming. I like to go to members and look at people specifically. Let's take a look at Chase's portfolio. Again, hasn't really gone over and above in the pictures and stuff, but I don't care about that. What number is different? Let's look at this. So, right off the bat, I know what the question he's trying to answer is. That's really nice. It's up at the top. And he divides this up. So it's very easy to read, right? Each thing he's trying to give an answer for, he makes its own paragraph and includes a little heading. That's really nice. Should you do that all the time? No. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to do that. But for this, it really does, I think. Hold on one second. All right, thank you for telling me that. I'll mark Max here. So he goes into 9. Why is 9 the odd one out? Well, I believe that 9 is the odd one out. You don't have to restate the okay. Okay. We're all friends here. But it's fine. I believe that 9 is the odd one out because someone in our class said that 1 plus 6 equals 7, so he's taking the digits of 16. 2 plus 5 equals 7, digits of 25, and 4 plus 3 equals 7. And then you get to 9 where that doesn't work. 9 could also be different because all the other numbers, digits go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you notice 16, 25, 43 all have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in them. And then there's 8, 7 missing, and then there's 9. Why is 16 the number out? It could be because it's the only number that's even. You can only add 2 of the same numbers to get to 16. Now I read the sentence and I left him a little comment. You can only add 2 of the same numbers to get to 16. I'm not sure what he means by that. And I left a little comment here. I highlighted it and then clicked comment. Already got mine there from earlier, so I'll delete that. Now, I can think of a couple numbers that add to 16. 15 and 1, 14 and 2, 13 and 3, right? I'm not sure what he means by that. But then he goes on to say 8 plus 8 equals 16. The other numbers, you can't do that. So what I think he means is that 16 is the only number you can take the same number and add it to itself and get it, right? In other words, it's an even number, right? You can do half and half and add them back together. 9, you can only do 4 and 5, right? You can't do the same number. So I think that's what he means. I think he could clear that up for his reader. Why is 25 the different number? When you multiply 1 and 6, the digits of 16, I think you should include something like that, right? So we know where he's getting the 1 and 6 from. You get 6. 4 and 3, you get 12. And then he says, we will say 9 and 1 equals 9 because it has to have another number there to be with it. So he's taking the digits and multiplying. 1 and 6 makes 6. 4 and 3 makes 12. And he's saying 1 and 9 because there's only one digit. And I left a comment saying, well, wouldn't that be like 19 or 91? Not 9. Isn't 9 like 09? Maybe that's a better point to make. What? But 25 is hard to find reasons for. So I appreciate that effort. Again, making mistakes is no big deal. I just want to know your thought process. I can see what he was thinking. Why is 43 the odd one out? I believe that 43 is the odd number out because it's the only number not to be squared, not able to be squared. Well, I left a comment there. Can't you square any number? Like, if I give you a number, can you square it? 5 squared is 25. What's 100 squared, right? You could do it in theory. 43 squared, you could figure out. I think what he means is it's the only number that you can't take the square root of. Maybe? Then he says you can't multiply any common numbers to get to 43. What does he mean by common numbers? I think what he means is numbers without a decimal, right? Like 5 times 5 would be 25, but nothing times nothing gets 43 unless we use decimals. Here's my comment. And here's what I think makes a good comment. He said, excellent start, Chase. I really like the formatting with the bold headings. It made it very easy to read. Explain the 9 and 1 thing for 25. Where does that 1 come from there? I get where it comes from in the 16 example, but not sure about the 9. Also, here's a picture that you can include to make this a little more friendly for people that weren't in class to experience the problem, and I gave them this picture. Right? That's where I got the problem from originally. How would he know? Right? But to make it easier to look at. Perhaps you could ask the question to let people know what you're talking about. I missed it actually in the heading. And I think a lot of people actually will miss it in the heading. Right? But I do feel bad for missing it. Also, would you be able to make your own which one doesn't belong problem? You can use numbers, shapes, whatever. Keep your reasons to yourself. Now, whenever I do a comment, I try to tell them where they can go next, right? And Chase did such a good job. The next thing that he can do if he wants to is make his own version, right? That's the next thing he could do. Sure, he could find more answers for why 16 doesn't belong. He could find a good answer for 25. But like, okay, you know, that's not always the best thing to do. So at this stage, I think the best thing for him to do, if he wants to go further, is to make his own. You can use numbers, pictures, whatever you want. If you're doing a problem, it's because I'm assuming that you wanted to, right? If you're writing about something. So when I give you the option to go further, it's because I think you might want to, because you chose the problem to begin with, right? You think it's interesting. That doesn't mean you have to, though. Right? If you're done with it or want to come back to it in 3 months or whatever, you know, that's fine. It's up to you. But if you go back and do more on something that you did, it can improve your past grade. So let's say you got a B for last week. If you improve your work that you submitted for last week, you can get an A. If you already have an A and you improve your work, then it will improve your grade that's coming up. It'll be part of it. Does that make sense? Hello? Yeah? Okay. I also asked him what he meant by common numbers. I said, I think I know what you mean, but this might help with giving it a better name. And I gave him a link to a website that talks about the different types of numbers, like integers, whole numbers, rational numbers, etc. Take a look at another one. See if we find someone in third hour. See. Let's take a look at Rowan's. I did that earlier. So Rowan added some pictures, right? Which is nice. Not going to get you a better grade, but it's something that you want to be proud of, right? So if you want to add pictures and it makes you more proud of it, great. Awesome. Got some funny memes. Solid anime photos. Alright, so this one's not very specific about what's going on. That's okay. I think originally she might have been trying to make a math problems folder. Alright, so Rowan writes about it this way. They go about it in a way where it's like a story almost, right? You don't have to do that, but it is nice to have a narrative because it lets me see how your thoughts change over time, right? It tells kind of the story of your thinking. What did they say? They said, today in our geometry class, our teacher gave us a problem. It was simple, pretty easy to solve. But we weren't supposed to solve it. Well, not like we were taught to. He wanted us to think through the problem, to break it down and see different ideas and not just go, oh, I see a problem with a variable. Gotta use PEMDAS. The problem was this. And they point out the problem, which was u minus 6 squared minus 32 equals 0. Right? Remember that one? We're messing around with a little bit. Let me show you. Rings a bell. Remember this one? Right, when we said something minus 32 is 0, well, that means that something must be 32, right? And then we said, well, something squared is 32. Well, that means something, well, it means about 5 squared is 32, right? So that must be about 5. Well, that must be about 11, because something minus 6 is about 5. Well, 11 minus 6 is about 5. Did you guys know that even though we went about it this way, we basically just did PEMDAS? Look at it. If you did PEMDAS for this, wouldn't the first thing you do is add 32 to both sides? And then the next thing you're supposed to do is get rid of the root by rooting both sides, and the root of 32 is about 5. And then when you get here, wouldn't you add 6? That's where PEMDAS comes from. It's not because there are rules to math, it's because people noticed a pattern. But instead of teaching you that, we teach you the pattern and say memorize it, instead of just think about it. Too often you guys are asking, what do I do next? And you say, I don't know. Instead of what would make sense to do next? Well, this must be 32. There's lots of ways to tackle it. So they write about that. So now when you look at this, I immediately started thinking about how to break down the problem and find what u is. That's not what we did, though. We said it like this. Something minus 6 squared minus 32 equals 0. So obviously that something minus 6 squared had to equal 32. Now, words are kind of hard here. They're doing a good job of writing it, but I think pictures would probably help, right? To be able to see what they're talking about. Because how else would you subtract 32 and get 0? So this must equal 32, right? Continuing to use this train of thought, therefore the square root of 32 is part of the answer, right? Now we have u minus 6 is about equals the square root of 32. And then they say this. Now we have to figure out what the square root of 32 is. Well, not exactly figure it out, but make a nice guess. This is where I started to get a little bit lost. And again, why are we allowed to guess? Well, you're always allowed to guess. First of all. Second of all, is root 32 going to be a nice number? No, it's going to be a decimal. It's going to be between 5 and 6. And if we're going to use a decimal, we're going to have to round eventually, right? Even if you get out the calculator, you're going to have to round it, which means you're estimating. But why get out the calculator? Just, estimate in your head. This is where I started to get a little bit lost, and I like to hear that, some honesty. But I eventually figured it out. Guessing, it has to be somewhere around 5 through 6, right? We're going to go with 6 because it's easier on my head. We can argue about whether 5 or 6 is the better one to go with, but who cares? They went with 6. Now with using a little brain smarts, we have u minus 6 is about 6. Now up until now, Rowan has done a really great job being logical and not making any mistakes, and that's fine. If they had made mistakes, it's no big deal. But look at this. In continuing to use these brain smarts, we get u is about 0. Simple, right? Pretty much. U is about 0. U minus 6 is about 6, so u must be 0. What do you think happened? What do you think they did? Why do you think they said 0? Tyler. Rowan got u minus 6 is about 6. And then they said that means u must be about 0. What do you think they did? I mean, does 0 make sense? Is that correct? No, it's not. That's okay, right? But what do you think they did that made them think it was correct? Any idea? Right, they flipped them potentially. Like 6 minus 0 would be 6 instead of 0 minus 6, right? That's a really common thing with subtraction, is you guys flip it in your head. Another thing could have been that they read u plus 6 is about 6. That could have happened, right? And again, we shouldn't feel bad for making mistakes like that. Like, Rowan did an excellent job of dissecting this problem and talking about it. And then at the end made a small mistake. It's like me when I was working on my car, right? I took apart the whole engine, put it back together, it was fine, and then I screwed up an oil change, right? I don't think it makes me dumb. I think it makes me, I made a mistake, obviously, but I was able to figure it out and think. And I did something really amazing just before that. Same thing with Rowan. She did something really amazing up until here, and made a small mistake. That's no big deal. The point of math is learning. Like, I wouldn't mark Rowan wrong for that if I were to grade this. I'd point it out and be like, hey, there's something you can improve. Like, Rowan did an excellent job on this. Those are my comments. This was excellent. The next step is to make up your own version of the problem and see if you can pull it off using this method. If you get stuck, there's an opportunity to write about it. Don't worry about getting the right answer. Just be sure to support your work with reasoning like you did here. This is an excellent start. Don't feel a rush to get this done before Friday. We'll put it in the works so we can definitely talk about it soon. Again, I left Rowan a little comment about the U-6 thing. That's an excellent post. Do you have to write so many words? Do you have to write a story? No, you don't. You just have to explain your thoughts. Ooh, Skylar published something. Let's see what you got. Is it your A game?
What do you mean?
You can take pictures with your phone or your screen of the work you're doing and then upload them. And that can make it easier to understand sometimes, right? Some people have been doing that. Oh, wait, we're third hour, aren't we? Good, Skylar did. Amazing profile picture. Yep. That's September 3rd. That's old stuff. Day the 10th? Okay, yeah. Oh, did you edit your post? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, when you edit that, make sure that you make a separate one so we can see the before and after. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. All right, so let's see what you said. 7 plus 7 equals 14, but if I'm going to explain this to a kid, I would do 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 14. So he broke the 7s into 2s until he couldn't, right? This sums it up rather to do 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 14. Now, my question after reading that is, okay, why is the one better than the other? And if you could explain that, that'd be good. Then you go to 27 plus 57 equals 84. We don't know the answer, though, so I would do a 20 plus 7 plus 50 plus 7 equals 84. We're coming up with ideas on how to split up numbers. Okay, so my question is, where did the 20 plus 7 plus 50 plus 7 come from? I know it, but like other people might not. And explain why that method might be better, right? Or why you like that method. I think the topic of this one seems to be what you said here. We were coming up with ideas on how to split up numbers. Probably better to state that earlier. Talk about what we were doing. You'd even include that in the title. I don't know, something snappy, I don't know. Another great way to show this that might help. Again, this is me doing comments right now, right? If I were to write this out, this is what I'd be saying. Another great way to take that further might be to, oh, sorry, you guys couldn't see what he had written, but I read it out loud. Here, let me show you. There it is. This is alright. I don't know if it's A game. What would you say it would be, Skylar?
Like a
C? Okay. So one thing that you could do is for the 7 plus 7 problem is if you wanted to do the thing you mentioned, here's 7, here's 7, you could show that something like that. Zoom in. I probably should have made these red to begin with. Makes it a little bit clearer for the understanding. Regrouping is what he's doing here. We have 7 plus 7, which is this. Now we have 10 plus 4, which is obviously 14, right? This is regrouping. He took 7, then added 3, and was left with 4 over here. That's a clear explanation, I think. Including a picture like this can be really helpful for explaining what's going on. And not only does it help your reader, but it helps show that you know what you're talking about. It's not just some mumbo jumbo you typed up to get a grade. Explaining your understanding is important. And then when you go to the 57 and 27, having a picture that shows this, however you want to do it. He chose 50 and 20, right? Whoops. Do something like this, maybe. And then when you start putting the 50 and 20 together, explain why you're allowed to, like, skip the 7 and just go straight to the 20. Like, why does that work? Can anybody explain why that works? Why are you allowed to just skip the 7 and go straight to the 20? And then do the 7s later? Any ideas? And then this is clearly 84. Why does that work? Why are we allowed to do that? I'm not asking you to say, like, well, because of this rule. Explain why that makes sense. Why are you allowed to do that with addition? Just go 50, 20 first, and then add the 7s. Could you explain that to a kindergartner? Why that'd be okay? How would you explain addition to a kindergartner? Because high schoolers, you don't know how to explain addition? That's not good. What have we been doing?
your fingers.
Your fingers. So like 7 plus 7, you'd be like 7, and then throw 7 more on there?
Yeah.
Well, you run out of fingers, don't you?
Calculate.
You explain addition with a calculator at kindergarten? What would you do? 7 plus 7. You guys not here yesterday during class? Yikes. You can add in any order. That's true, but why? How do we know that that's true? Sure, you could say someone told you you can, but how do you know? You just trust people in 2020, whatever they say? Man, maybe you guys should write about this one. Apples. 5, 7 apples, and 7 apples. Does it matter if I put them in a bucket, right? Does it matter if I put them in 7 at a time and then 7 at a time? Or if I do 1 at a time? Right, putting in 7 apples all at once and then 7 apples again is this, right? Putting in 1 at a time is like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And so on and so forth. Doing 50 apples, then 7 apples, then 20 apples, and 7 apples is the same as doing 50 apples, then 20 apples, and 7 apples, and 7 apples. Why? Because at the end of the day, you get the same amount in the bucket, and you can check that, right? It ends in the same result. Explaining that is important. Hello? What I'm trying to say is your sauce is weak. Your posts, they're meh. You can do better than this. You're not used to being held to a better standard because since we need everybody to jump through these hoops that we set up for you, we put the hoops really low, right? At high school, in school in general. And then it becomes a question of not who knows what they're doing and who understands. It becomes a question of who is compliant. It's so low, the only reason you wouldn't jump through it is because you just didn't want to. So to give the kids that jumped through it, that did the thing, they did the homework, they turned it all in, they brought in Kleenex boxes, we give you an A. And the kids that didn't do it, for whatever reason, sometimes they have a good reason, we give them the Fs. And that's really the only difference. Kids who do their work and kids that don't. And here, there is no required work. So how do we judge whether you're learning something? Well, we judge by whether you can explain it. Bring me your A game. Do not blow off this class. You finally have a class where you can show what you really know and really understand, and you're not being forced to do a bunch of crap that doesn't matter. Take advantage of that. Don't wait 3 days or a week to write about something we did. Try to do it immediately. That way you can remember your thoughts. See you guys later. Treat it like a journal. The answer's going to be the same. Yeah, and if you can explain why that is, that's important, Stephen. Right? That's what this portfolio is. It's about explanation. We're not going to accept authority in here for the sake of authority. Authority is convenient because it means you don't have to think for yourself. But it's antithetical to math. Peace. 4th hour coming up. Yo. You what? Rad. I hope it's sick. We're probably not going to have time to look at it today at the end of class because that seems to be the trend. But either way. Oh yeah, I gotta squirt him. Bye. Thank you, Lindsay. I miss you so much. So are you guys filling out that thing? Okay, because I know other teachers seem to not know what's going on, neither do I. I was told in an email that I didn't need to worry about it because I don't have a template. That's not, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Luckily today I'm actually giving you the thing that we're supposed to fill the thing out about. Give me the syllabus. Oh, okay.
I thought you didn't use syllabus.
And what?
You didn't like.
No, they're fine. I don't have any particular hatred of them. I think it's good to have a reference. Here it is. If your parents want to know what the expectations are, they can look in here. There is a thing for your parents to sign and return, but I don't care whether you return it or not. I just would appreciate it. That way, if somebody comes in and says, "Hey, do parents know what's going on in math class, and do they know like the expectations and they know where to go?" I can say, "Yes, they do. Here's the piece of paper that says they do." Yes, it's down here. There's a part here that they can sign and return. I would encourage you to do that. Am I going to make you? No, I'm not going to give you a 0 until you like return. Somewhere, I don't know. You don't need to say it. I saw it. It was amazing. It was great. I was crying.
Can you do it again?
Quit while you're ahead. Quit while you're ahead.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people.
Really?
Yep, that's the syllabus. It's single-sided. That way your parents can cut out the one page and return it, and it's still good to go.
Stapler.
Hi, Demery. I do somewhere. I don't know where it is, though. Don't worry about it. It's online. It's on Google Classroom. So if you ever lose it or lose a page, you can just go on there. It's under the classwork section. Titled syllabus. Oh. Anyway, it just explains what we're doing and how we're doing it. Let's take attendance, and I've got some things I want to show you. I want to go over some portfolio stuff today so you can see what a good post is and what a not so good post is. And what a good comment is. I don't.
We'll figure this out. If we don't fill it out?
I don't know.
We're gonna get in trouble. We're gonna get grounded. We're gonna
Blame
get
me.
suspended. We're not doing it.
I was under the impression if you didn't have a 7th hour class, you were not supposed to do that with your kids. It turns out that's not what we're doing. I don't have access to the document where I can edit it. I just have the document. So I don't know. I don't know.
I don't even have it. I don't know where it is. Sorry, that's not.
See, my 7th hour teacher never sent it to me. I got it from my 1st hour teacher, so I am so.
Right. I think you're supposed to fill it out as you go through the day, which makes sense because that teacher can tell you what the expectations are and you can fill it out. That's what I thought we were doing, and then I got another email that said if you have a 7th hour or don't have a 7th hour class, don't worry about it. I don't know. I was confused. It is obviously my fault, not your fault, if you don't have this stuff. So don't worry about it. I will ask questions when I have free time at the end of the day.
Half of my have told me to fill it.
Right. I think there's just a lack of communication going on right now, and there's a little bit of confusion. That's okay. We'll figure this out. Today, it just so happens I have the thing that we were supposed to, like, on the paper, you're supposed to fill out what the expectations are, right? All that. But, like, I happen to give you today the syllabus. It kind of covers those bases. So either way, it's not like you don't know what you need to do. There it is. Everybody knows how to check into class, make sure they're, marked present. Everybody knows what the portfolio is and what we're doing, more or less. Well, I'm going to talk about it some more because some of you guys didn't figure it out last time, Roy. All right, so I sent you a bunch of emails yesterday. The reason for that being was that when I sent emails at the beginning of the year, I don't type in every individual person's name because I have to send a lot of emails, and that would take forever, and I'd inevitably forget somebody. Okay? And so what I do is I set up a Google contacts list where this is my geometry period 1 class, and then I type geometry period 1 into the email, and it pops everybody's name on there. Problem was that the classes weren't set in stone yet, and so things changed. And I realized that a lot of important emails I sent early on might not have gotten to some people. So now that I have the updated contacts, I resent them all out. I forwarded them. So if it looks like stuff you've already read, you're fine. Although I did give you 2 yesterday that nobody has seen yet. One talks about what we're doing for portfolio stuff next week. We're going to meet on Wednesday. You have 2 options. You can either meet on Discord or you can meet on Google Meets. Google Meets, I included a link. That's the link we're going to use the rest of the year for those conferences. So I bookmarked that. That way you can just go there, right? And then the other option was to go to Discord. Let me show you what Discord looks like, because a lot of you guys from last year are on that. People this year haven't gone to it so much because I haven't really shown you guys, but it's a pretty good option. I'll tell you why. It does. The reason it's a bad option is because it does not work on Chromebooks, or it doesn't work on the school Chromebooks, because like everything that's good, they block it. So here's what Discord looks like. So I'm part of a couple different Discords. There's mine, obviously, in the top corner here. But there's also Markstar Heroes Discord. Super exclusive. I know, mod, baby.
That's gay.
Anyway, as you can see, I've got a bunch of different channels here. We talk about lots of different things. Sometimes it's math. I found out I had 69 students exactly yesterday.
Nice.
So there's my meme reaction. Why this is good. I've got students that aren't in my classes anymore still on here asking math questions a year later when they need help in Algebra 2. I've got kids that I haven't seen since 5 years ago that are now in college on here asking math questions. I've got a couple different channels, one for geometry, one for algebra 2, and then general math discussions. So if you have just general questions. Not only am I on here answering questions all day, all night, both by typing and by using the video and voice chat function, but I've also got people from all around the world that I know that are math teachers or are in college or have taken this class before that can answer your questions as well. Just the other day, this isn't a person you want to ask, questions to necessarily, but I was helping a middle schooler from the UK via, while I was at school from 2 to 3 p.m. yesterday. They had questions about geometry. They'd found me through Mark's Discord. Like, hey, I need some help on math. So I'm available all the time on this. Super fast, super easy. If you go down to the bottom here, there's all the different things you can talk about, right? All the different areas to go. There's a general voice chat channel, and if you go into there, you can either voice chat and just hear me talking. As you can see, my name's lighting up green as I talk. But there's also a video function, so I can share my screen and we can just talk about stuff. Doesn't mean you have to share yours. I can just work with stuff. It would be creepy if I was like, hey, middle schooler from the United Kingdom, let's FaceTime. Like, hey, if you want help, I'm gonna post a video of me doing this stuff. Here it is, right? Yeah, not doing that. But anyway, what's also nice about Discord is that we do game club on there and have discussions about all kinds of other stuff. And also we do movie nights occasionally, where I'll stream a movie to Discord and we all watch from the safety and comfort of our own homes. And I think we watched Step Brothers once. That was pretty funny. Yeah, in fact, that's the kid over here, Aaron07. Got a Yoshi picture. Yeah, if you want to get on there, I think it's a good idea, and it's an easy way to do conferences, because all you have to do is go down to the voice chat channel and be like, hey, I'm here, and then you can just watch my screen and then go away. It's also on your phone, which means you can use your phone internet, which often is a lot better than your home internet or the hotspot that you're using, right? And it's like a phone call, basically. You just hit a button to talk instead of having to deal with Google Meets, which can be spotty. And you might not know where the link is, right? So if you want to join, I gave you a link that you can use on your phone in your email. So you can go to the email, click the link on your phone, and it'll set you up on Discord. It's up to you. I don't care. But like I said, I've got people that have been my students for the last 5 years on here. I've got teachers from other schools on here. I've got a guy from the Netherlands that teaches math on here. All kinds of crazy stuff. If you don't want to do that and you want to do Google Meets, there's also a link for Google Meets, right, that I include in that email. You just click that email or that link, and it'll send you to the place we're going to meet. Now, how do you sign up for the meet time? Well, I sent you a second email that I forgot to include the link. So if you click this link, it'll take you to my schedule. As you can see, this week I got nothing going on, but if you fast forward to next week by clicking this little arrow up here, right? Ta-da! Here it is. So I sent you the most recent email, and it has those time slots that you can sign up for. Make sure you go to the week after this week, because that's where all the time slots are. And there'll be a slot for every week that you can sign up for. You just click a little portfolio time slot. Each one's 10 minutes long. I have 69 students. Nice. And 10 minutes each adds up, right? Or I think they're 5 minutes. 5 minutes each adds up. As you can see, it takes up my entire day on Wednesday from 8 to 3. The reason I'm giving you time slots is because some of you might not want to wake up at 8 a.m., my first hour class, to do a portfolio review. And as long as you check in for that class, I can mark you here. So if you show up at 2:50 for your portfolio review for the day in your first hour, I can mark you present for first hour. Sign up for your time. Now, what if you're like, oh my God, I have to be in class the rest of the time, or I don't have time? Well, you always have my class time, right? Like you're supposed to be, in theory, on Wednesdays in my class online. So if you don't want to go outside the box and sign up for 2 p.m., right? Then just sign up during regular class time. Our hours for fourth hour are 10:05 to 10:39 on early dismissal. So just sign up during there. But obviously, 10:05 to 10:39 is only 35 minutes. So we can only fit 7 people in there. So I wanted to give more people space to go outside that box. You can sign up now if you want. I also have times on Tuesday from 2 to 3. First come, first serve. I would encourage you to do early. That way if you goof, then you can sign up for another one and get a better grade, right? Sign up on Thursday if you want, but at your own peril, right? Because if you sign up the last slot on Thursday, you're not going to have time to make changes. If you go back and change stuff on your portfolio from a couple weeks ago or whatever, right? You improve something. You think of a new idea, new way to solve a problem, right? That can either improve your past grade if it needs improvement. If it's already an A, it doesn't need improvement. or it can improve the grade for the week that you're on, right? It'll count towards that week, so it's up to you. Let's take attendance and move on. Does anybody have questions about sign up? Yeah.
Like have to.
Yes, portfolio conference thing at some point on Wednesdays. So instead of having class, all we'll ever do on Wednesdays, finger crossed, right, is you'll meet with me for 5 minutes and talk about your portfolio and get your grade for the week. That's it. I will be recording our conversations unless you have a huge objection, because I found out yesterday that Skyward has a comment character limit, only 140 or something like that. And obviously my comments are going to take more than 140 characters. So my thought was, if I record our conversation about my comments and why your grade's your grade, then I can just, 2 birds, 1 stone, upload the link to Skyward, and your parents or you can click it if you want to hear it again. Like, why did my kid get a B? Well, then they can click the link and hear the conversation we had about why we both decided you should get a B, right? Or you can listen to it and be like, oh, that's what he said I needed to fix, right? So the plan is to record those. Nice. But yeah, that's the plan, guys. Let's take a look at portfolios and what makes a good post and what makes not so good of a post. So we're going to read one aloud and I'm going to get your comments, okay? If you want another one of the emails that I sent you, will give you codes to get into other classes. For instance, I've got a bunch of people in first hour bulb class thing that aren't part of first hour. So like if I go to members, Corinne is not part of my first hour. She's part of my third hour. Same thing with Mika. But they signed up for this so they can look at everybody else's stuff, leave comments, and also get ideas for their own. So let's talk about what is a good post versus a bad post. Let's click on one, and you can give me your comments on what you think they can improve on or what you think you liked. Let's see. Let's look at Chase's. Chase Newman. So did Chase decorate his stuff? No. Is he going to get marked off for that? No, because like who cares? Now, if you want to make it look cool, that could help, right? With you being excited to write or proud of it, which I'm always for. Like go into his first folder, he's got a couple things. Let's look at this one. So he's talking about what number is different, 9, 16, 25, or 43. So I clearly know what he's talking about more or less. I actually missed this the first time and didn't see it. But always state the problem. That way people know what you're talking about when you're reading. Especially if like people are looking at like 2 months from now, or you are because you want to do more with it. Help to be organized. Ask Gina. Look how organized she is. So he says, why is the 9 the odd one out? I love that it has a heading for this and a separate paragraph to be able to discuss it. It's bold. This is good. But anyway, I'm going to get your comments at the end on this, so I'm going to read it out loud. You tell me what you like and what you didn't like at the end. Why is 9 the odd one out? Well, I believe that 9 is the odd one because someone in our class said that 1 plus 6 equals 7, 2 plus 5 equals 7, and 4 plus 3 equals 7. And then you have 9 that doesn't work. 9 could also be different because all the other numbers digits go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then to get to 9, you have to have 7, 8, and they aren't there. What do you think about the first paragraph? Why? Yikes. At first, you're like, yeah, we're going to think in this class, and we're going to think for ourselves, and no authority and no homework. And then you're like, oh, crap, I don't have authority, so I have to think for myself.
Yeah,
What do you think? Yeah. Why? Is it what? Oh, that's cute. Why? How do you know? What do you think? Gentlemen, shut up. Say that again. Sorry, Gina.
The number part.
So when he lists the numbers here, or what?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys all know what he was talking about when he said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 9? Okay, cool. Why do you know what he means? Because I struggled with that at first, and then I realized later. Do you have any suggestions for him that can make it easier to understand? Yeah. Pictures. When he points out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are there, he can talk about how those are the digits that he saw here, right? I got to scroll back up to see that. 7 and 8 are missing from there. That's why 9 doesn't belong. Why is 16 the number out? It could be because it's the only number that's even. You can only add 2 of the same numbers to get 16. 8 plus 8 equals 16. The other numbers, you can't do that. What do you think? There is. Right? So when he's saying you can only add two of the same numbers to get to 16, I don't think that's true. What do you think he meant? Yes? You don't know? Maybe it's my teacher brain. Yeah. I think that's what he thought too. I think what he really means, because if you look later on, 8 plus 8 equals 16, the other numbers, you can't do that. I think he means that all the other numbers, you can't take two of the same number and get it, right? And that's another way of saying they're odd, right? 9 is 4 and 5 is as close as you can get. You can't get the same number, right? I think that's what he meant. But it wasn't exactly clear, so that would be my comment. Why is 25 the different number? When you multiply 1 and 6, you get 6. 3 and 4, you get 12. We will say 9 and 1 equals 9 because it has to have another number there to be with. 6, 9, and 12. Now 2 and 5, you get 10, so it doesn't work out. Thoughts? I'm not referring to you as thoughts. I'm asking what are your thoughts? Okay. Although that would be funny. Thoughts? I'm addressing you that way. You know how every YouTube channel has like a name for their viewers? What's up, thoughts? Right, yeah, that would go over so well. What are your thoughts? I can't unhear it. What are your thoughts?
Can't either.
Do you not know yawning in math class?
I'm so sorry.
I'm going to read this again. When you multiply 1 and 6, you get 6. 3 and 4, you get 12. We will say 9 and 1 equals 9 because it has to have another number there to be with it. 6, 9, and 12. Now 2 and 5, you get 10, so it didn't work out. Exactly! We need to get used to saying that. Y'all sitting in your Zoom calls with your teachers and you're like, I have no idea what the hell is going on. Right? And you just sit there. Maybe it's because they're full of crap. Ever thought about that?
Yeah, I do.
I don't like to hear.
Well, you can have tact. You can be like, excuse me, what do you mean by this? So what don't you understand? Be specific. Can you give me a sentence you don't understand? Okay. So when you multiply 1 and 6, you get 6. 3 and 4, you get 12. So far? Okay. But what are you questioning? Like, yeah, sure, 1 and 6 makes 6, 4 and 3 makes 12, but what are you questioning? Do you know where you got those numbers? Boom.
Where do you get those numbers?
That's a comment, right? I did some investigating, and I think it's 1 and 6 are the digits of 16. 4 and 3, again, order would help here too, if you did it in the right order. 43. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Right? These are the conversations that need to happen. Not because this is your portfolio, but also because it's your portfolio. But because if you don't have these conversations, you're not going to understand what's going on. And if you don't understand, you can't learn. Every freaking day you should be thinking about this. Everything you read, everything you hear. I'm sorry? What? Can you explain that? All the time. All the time. That is how learning happens. Questioning. It's not the answers, it's the questions. Like, it's not just like a feel-good thing to be like, oh, questions are important. No, no, no. Questions are the only thing that matters. Once you have the answer, it doesn't matter anymore. Now you see what it is? Okay, great, right? But because you asked that question, that's what led you to understanding. We will say 9 and 1 equals 9 because it has to have another number with it. What does he mean by that? Not sure, right? What do you think he means? 9's a single-digit number. It doesn't have another number with it. So my comment was, wait, why'd you choose to put a 1 with the 9? Isn't that like 19 or 91? I think you mean like 09. Isn't that consistent? Hi, welcome back. So, and I'm glad you're here. Don't take that as a bad thing. I'm sorry if that sounded rude. I'm glad you're here. I think he means, look, 9's a single digit, and so it has to have another number with it to do this thing that he's doing. And mathematicians do that all the time. Well, this doesn't really work, so let's just kind of give something that makes sense. That's fine. but he puts a 1 with it. And I would argue putting a 1 with a 9 doesn't make sense. Why? Sure, when we add it, but I'm talking about putting another digit on there. Right? See how 16 already has a 1 with it, and 25 has a 2, and 43 has a 4, right? They have 2 numbers. He's saying in order to do 1 times 6 and 4 times 3, to do this over here, you need something to go with the 9. And he put a 1 there. What? There isn't. But he puts it there because if there was a 1, if there's a 1 there, right? 9 is the only number. 1 times 9 is 9, right? He's thinking like that. What's a better number you think that might go there? If he has to put another number with a 9. 0. Right? It's 0, 9 if we're thinking 2 digits. So there's a suggestion, right? Now 2 and 5 you get 10, so it doesn't work out. So we got 6, 12, 9 under his method, right? We have multiples of 3, and then we get 10, right? 25 is hard to figure out. Where is it?
25.
All right, so it's a difficult one to figure out, and he tried to come up with a way. That's fine. Just because he's probably wrong or we don't think it's a great answer, again, there's no right and wrong here, but probably not the best answer to put a 1 with the 9, doesn't mean it's a bad pose. 43, why is 43 the odd one out? I believe that 43 is the odd number out because it's the only number not able to be squared. Thoughts on that sentence? Gina! Okay, I'm just trying to fight the class a little bit. I know that's the point. Fun. Not because I care. You are more than welcome. What do you think about that sentence? I believe that 43 is the odd number out because it's the only number not able to be squared. What do you think? People online, you're more than welcome to participate as well. I know you're a little behind. Ooh, Lexie. Popcorn Lexie. You remember that? Popcorn? You guys ever do that when you're reading? You get to choose the next person to read? Anybody do that? Or is that just like me because I'm ancient? Popcorn Lexie, and then Lexie has to read the next sentence. That was always terrifying. What do you think about that sentence? 43 is the only number not able to be squared. No thoughts? Okay. You can't multiply any common numbers to get 43. What does he mean by common numbers? Yeah. Say it again. 43 is prime. You think that's what he's talking about? For those of you playing along at home, prime means only 43 times 1 gets 43. Is that what you mean by common numbers? See, when I read that, I thought he meant common numbers meaning not using decimals. Right? You can square a number to get 43. You can square a number to get any number. But the numbers sometimes are messy, right? 5 times 5 gets 25. 6 times 6 gets 36. Anything in between is going to be a decimal. I think that's what he means by common numbers. Here's what I said in my comments. Excellent start, Chase. And that's true. This was a good post. It really was. I really like the formatting with the bold headings. It made it easy to read, right? The spacing and everything. The reason we have paragraphs is not so we can say, look, I did a 5-paragraph essay. The reason we do paragraphs is because it talks about different points, right? If I'm talking about grilled cheese and then I switch to talking about broccoli, I probably want a different paragraph, right? That's the idea with paragraphs. That's why I have them. It's organizational. Same thing with parentheses, by the way, when it comes to math. So the boldness in the headings made it really easy. Why we're talking about 9 here, we're talking about 16 there, we're talking about 25 here. I said explain the 9 and 1 thing for 25. Where does that 1 come from there? I get where it comes from in the 16, but not sure about the 9. That's what we talked about, right? I said also, here's a picture that you can include to make it a little more friendly for people that weren't in class to experience the problem. I sent a link to this picture. That's actually where I stole the problem from originally, which one doesn't belong. So people can reference it more easily than just looking at the title. In fact, I didn't see that his title asked the question, so I said, perhaps ask the question to let people know what you're talking about. I missed that in the title. And 1, I feel bad for missing it. Shame on me. But 2, also, like, I bet I wasn't the only one that missed it. Think about your reader. Most readers don't read titles. You guys ever go on Reddit to look at memes? No? Meme kings in here? No? No one ever reads the title. They just read the meme, the picture. Pictures grab our eyes. Also, would you be able to make your own which one doesn't belong problem? I always, if I can, include what they can go and do next, what they can do further. And Chase had a really good post. So the next thing for him to do further, from what I could think of, is make his own version of this problem. You can use numbers, shapes, whatever you want. Make your own version, right? To show that you really understand the concept. I asked him what he meant by common numbers. I think I know what he means. I think he means whole numbers, right? Those are common numbers. Natural numbers. I gave him a link to a website that talks about different types of numbers, like natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, right? So you can use proper terminology. Makes it clear. This is a good post. Now, do I need all these paragraphs? Do I need all this writing? No. What I need is whatever it takes to get the job done. Fun story. Bloodiest battle in American history, Gettysburg. Okay? Fun story. Great way to start that. All right, so the speech that was made there, you know, is the Gettysburg Address, right? Who gave that speech? Abraham Lincoln. How many words were in it? 271. That's all it took. Now, the funny thing is that he was not the highlight. He was not the guy that was invited to speak necessarily. He was not the main speaker. The main speaker used over 1,000 words. You have no idea who he is or what he talked about. Lincoln stole the spotlight with the Gettysburg Address with only 271 words to address something as bloody and as important as the end of the Civil War and the reunification of the country. Something that we're still arguing about today. Sometimes less words is better. Now, your boy doesn't know how to do that, right? I am not concise in any means. I'm not a poet. Think about poetry, though. Concepts that are as simple to describe as love, justice, peace, truth, equity, right? Real simple concepts. And yet you can read a poem that's 10 words long, and they're perfectly chosen 10 words, and they fully describe exactly what you're feeling. I do not require you to write a certain number of words. I do not require a certain number of paragraphs. I don't require a certain number of goddamn posts. Do something you're going to be proud of. Say something. I've read posts on here that are just as long, if not longer than this, and they don't say anything. I thought this problem was interesting because it questions, 7 plus 7 is 2, and that's different, and I like that. And maybe those words are true, but I don't understand why they're true. Why do you like it? Why is that an interesting question? You had tons of, you could write about anything. Why'd you write about that? You finally have a class that has no authority that you can appeal to, which is a great thing, but it is also a great burden. You can't just be like, oh, because they said so, and have that be checked right, and you get an A on the paper. Why can we do this? Oh, because the associative property. I read that in my notes. It's a great thing, but it's also a terrible burden. You need to take advantage of this. This is the first class where you're not required to do crap, and all we're going to do is focus on learning. Take advantage of that. Go out and learn. You have nothing to fear. Make chances, take mistakes, get messy. Who said that?
You.
She's a teacher. One of her favorite phrases is seatbelts, everyone. Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks in the back of the bus, or moves to the front. She's like, and what do you have to say for yourself, ma'am? You aren't supposed to be up here. And she's like, seatbelts, everyone, we're going.
I know who said it.
Who? Hell yeah, Miss Frizzle. Take chances, make mistakes, get messy. Great teacher. Grades encourage you not to take chances because there's a lot at risk. But there are no grades. Take chances. Here's something I like. Let's look at Laurelie's post. I love Magic School Bus. I think it's period 2. Cruising on down Main Street, feeling light and feeling good. Next thing that you know, it's saying, whoa! Right? She does that like crazy laugh. And Liz. So this is Laurelie's. A little more inviting. I love this picture. Mike Tyson. Pigeon with a 10 milliliter hat. This is you guys on a Zoom call. How many beans can you fit in a 4x4 cube? Asking for a friend. Did I ask this question? No, but apparently her friend did. You can write about that. Okay, so how many beans can you fit in a 4x4 cube? I'm not very good at math, so I'm starting this simple. The cube looks something like this. The cube. That's a great use of a caption. Look at the spacing on that. That's art. So we need to find out how many beans can fit into that cube. Obvious question to ask. We can find volume by multiplying length times width times height. The cube is 4 by 4, so to find the volume, we'd have to do 4 by 4 by 4, which equals 64 cubic inches. Okay, so we're talking inches. 4 inches by 4 inches by 4 inches. Good to know. Now we need to find out how many beans fit into 1 cubic inch. So she's starting out with a 1 cubic inch cube. We're assuming these beans are baked beans dried from their sauce, or drained from their sauce. Navy beans are what are usually used in baked beans. Huh, good to know. When uncooked navy beans are about a sixth of an inch based off of this image. I measured a quarter with a ruler and found that it was just short of an inch. Good investigation. Uncooked beans are about a sixth of an inch. When the beans cook, they can expand up to 3 times their dry size. Knowing this, each bean is about a ½ inch long. Since I don't know how to work with circles, we're just going to assume that beans have corners. What scientists theorize the angled beans look like. This is a scientific version of a bean. You ever heard that joke? You know, scientists is like, imagine there's a cow, and all they do is like imagine there's a cube, because everything's simpler when you think of cubes. Scientists do that all the time. They reduce it. So if the beans are 0.5 by 0.2 by 0.2, give or take, they would be 0.02 cubic inches, meaning you would need 3,200 beans to fill a 4 by 4 glass cube with corner beans. Yeah, these are corner beans. My comment, 3,200, that's quite a bit. How do you feel about that answer? More than you expected? Less? When you say that the beans expand by a factor of 3, what do you mean by that? Do they expand in all directions equally? If you want to say they do for the sake of simplicity, would that make them 0.5 by 0.2 by 0.2? Right, looks like she only expanded in one direction. Right, when she multiplied? The way you did it only explained the bean in one direction. I'm not a beanologist, so I'm just asking questions. Be sure to go back through this and include units where appropriate, right? I didn't know it was inches until later. I think after you answer the bean dimensional discrepancy, the next step would be to investigate more types of beans, or perhaps the relationship between cube size and bean containment volume, right? As the cube gets bigger, 4 times bigger cube, do you have 4 times as many beans? Or no, right? How many more beans are contained in a 1-inch cube than a 4-inch cube? Is there some kind of mathematical relationship between the results? Bean scientists want to know. Lastly, I do think you would be interested in the green square problem I posted on Google Classroom. Pretend the squares are beans. Beans have some basic needs, and I made it bean-themed problem for it. Poorly. So, you can write about whatever you want. Now, am I going to say, like, hey, today we talked about Pythagorean theorem. I need a post on that? Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, sorry. I don't have control of the curriculum yet. There are things we have to talk about. I can't just let you guys lead us wherever you want to lead us. Yet. I know. Well, actually, I bet you wouldn't. Teachers think that you guys would just take us everywhere off the rails and all over. But you know where your natural state is? Doing nothing. You finally have a class where you can do anything, go anywhere, within reason. And there's no pressure. And what do you guys do? I'm not going to write a portfolio until the last minute. I'm not going to, you know, boring. Take advantage of this. I want to be able to show anybody that comes in here that this is what kids can do if you just get off their backs and get rid of grading. And if all I can show them is some of the crap I saw last week, good God, I'll be doing grading forever. And here's what's going to happen if we do that. Under my method, apparently you're not going to learn because you're not going to try anything. And under their method, you're not going to learn. But under their method, it's going to look like you were learning because they had a grade to say you did, right? That's the only difference. Take advantage of this. Some people really are. You should too. Treat this kind of like a journal. Don't wait a week from now to write this the day before. Write it so when you, when you remember it, when it's fresh, right? Ask Gina about journaling. And do it that night, every night. Dear diary. Take advantage of this. Or don't, it's up to you. Man, this is what you've been waiting for. School sucks, school's boring, blah, 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 we don't learn anything that's useful. Hello? Hello? Right here. Let's do this. Help you, boy, help you out, okay? Help me help you, help me help you, help me help you. Help me help you. Some good stuff. Again, length doesn't matter.
That's what she said.
But make it something you're proud of.
That's what she said.
You what? What do you say, Mitchell? No, I don't have that anymore. Yeah, I think it's good. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Do something worth talking about.
Well, if I'm good tomorrow.
You won't be. Mitchell, you owe me a portfolio. Troy, you owe me a portfolio. Lots of others of you owe me a portfolio as well. Thank you. I left you comments. Go look at those. Make changes. Update it.
I'll tell you my.
It's a living, breathing document. Changes constantly, just like the Constitution. Hello!
I'll tell you my kids.
See you later, kids. Let me mark you here. I saw that Demery's here, Olivia's here, Jamie's here, and Andrew here, and Lexie is here. I'll mark you here. Missing Olivia, CJ, and Gage.
I don't want to listen to you.
Ending the stream and starting it back up. You've already seen. I can explain that. I got some stuff.
Oh, so. Here's the test.
You know that thing that you're supposed to do every hour? Not doing it. Did you do that in all your other classes? Not one? Oh, okay. I got an email at one point saying, hey, there's this thing for parents for you to fill out so parents know what's going on in class and know what the expectations are. I was like, oh, that's a good idea, I guess. Then I got an email later saying if you don't have a 7-hour class, you don't have to do it. That's one of the huge prep periods. The last period of the day, which makes it useless for prepping. It's already over. But it means in this case I get out of time to do this thing. Great. That might not be the case. They sent me the document. I don't have editing privileges, so I just thought, worry about it, but now it's a thing. What's up, guys? I'll mark you here in a second. I'm gonna go walk over around the room and tell me if you can hear me counting, okay?
Hi, guys.
If you can hear other kids talking. You guys hear me count to 6 twice? Solid reading. Hi, Leah. Hi, Camden. Hey, Haley. Cameron, Evan. It's Marky here. Looks like everybody's here. Haley, you're at home, right? Yep, okay. All right, so I want to talk to you about stuff. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with that. You guys could hear me count to 6, correct? Those 2 times that I did it? I'm worried that you didn't. You heard nothing? What do you mean you heard? What? What? Possible. Right, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Make sure you're listening. I'm seeing readings. You should be able to see it. You guys hear me count to 5? Did you hear me count to 5, anybody? Did you hear the announcements that were made? I'm getting readings on these mics, which should be what goes out to you. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let's try this. Didn't hear it? Okay, let's try this. Why isn't it saving any of my settings? Okay, I'm trying one more time. All right, here we go. We're gonna try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you hear it that time? Did you hear it live? Hello? Did you hear it? What's up, Mac?
Max, when was the last one to say I'm here?
That is true. Cool kids show up late. You guys hear that at all? You count it? You did? Okay, so that fixed it. It must be a channel issue. Okay. Was it pretty easy to hear? Thank you, Leah, for responding. You were being very helpful. Everybody else other than Haley and Evan, both not being very helpful. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Maybe you guys are just on delay. All right, so that should fix it. I'll just check those settings. For some reason, this thing is not saving my settings. All right. So what I want to talk about is a bunch of emails I sent yesterday. And again, I apologize for that. Let me explain why I did that. So I sent you a bunch of emails yesterday because at the beginning of the school year, I instead of typing out everybody's name whenever I want to send out an email to the whole class, obviously that's a pain, and usually I miss somebody and then it screws up, right? What I've been doing is I made a Google contacts list where that if I type in, like, if I go to make an email and I type in G1, look what pops up, my entire geometry class. So I can just go G1, enter, G2, enter, G3, enter, G4, or enter, A6, enter, and I've got everybody, right? The problem with that is that when I made those lists, it was before classes were kind of cemented, right? And so I left some people out, and I realized, like, I'd set up some really important emails, like, here's the YouTube link, you know what I mean? And so I forwarded them again to everybody, because I didn't know who got them and who didn't. So if you got a bunch of emails from me, that's why. Most of them you probably should have already got. A few of you have never gotten any emails, you should check those. But everybody got 2 emails yesterday from me that are really important. So one was this email. I got a ton of emails from people. And it was here. Talking about portfolio conferences. Next week on Wednesday is when we do our conference. Each slot is 10 minutes. It might be 10, it might be 5, I can't remember. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm available from 2 to 3 if you want to do an early or a late conference, right? But on Wednesday, I'm available all day 8 to 3. Pick your time slot. If you want to use Google Meets to do that meeting, here's the link for it. Okay, you just click that link and that'll take you to Google Meets. We're going to use that every time. So if you want to bookmark that way you can just go on Wednesdays or whatever to that place and then we can talk about your portfolio. That would be a good idea. The other option is Discord, which is way easier to use than Google Meets. And it has a lot of other features too. But the problem is it doesn't work on Chromebooks. So unless you have like a smartphone or a computer at home, you won't be able to use it. Let me tell you what Discord is and why it's interesting. I've got a lot of past students on there, including people that were here last year and now are in Alpha 2. Here's what Discord looks like. So my channel's up here. You guys know who Mark is? Mark Cyphers. Mark's our hero, baby. I'm part of his Discord channel. But anyway, my channel is math related, school related, all kinds of other stuff. There's game stuff down here if you want to talk. You can do whatever you want. There's a Morrison High School tab where we talk about Morrison High School. This is my reaction when I found out I had exactly 69 students this year. There's a geometry tab where we talk about geometry class, algebra, for algebra questions, algebra 2 for all other people from my class last week that are around Vanderbilt. We also have some general math discussions. And this is where a lot of my students that are now in college will come back and ask questions or help other people with questions. The other day I met somebody on Mark's channel who's an 8th grader from the UK. And he was like, oh, you're a math teacher? I need some help with my math problems. I was like, okay, cool. So I sent him over to here. And then later I shared my screen with him and I did a bunch of math problems on paper. So all kinds of people from all around the world coming here, not just students, but also like people that know what they're talking about, people in college or people that have taken my class already, or actual teachers. Like I've got a teacher from the Netherlands that's on here that answers questions a lot of the time I can't. So if you have any questions about how to do something, or you've got an idea, or you know, whatever, this is a good place to go and ask them. We've also got a game club tab where we talk about game club, and of course there's lots of memes. We have music recommendations, all kinds of crazy stuff. But the reason I want to use this is because if you go down to the bottom, there's a little general voice chat. And if you go into there, all you do is click it on your phone, and now we're talking. You can hear my voice, I can hear yours. And I can share my screen, we can talk about your portfolio. So it's way easier than Google Meets. And again, you can do it on your phone, which Google Meets sometimes has issues with. Right? So if you want to do it, there's a link in this email That as long as you're on your phone or on a computer that can download Discord, just click that, it'll send you to my Discord page. To sign up for the conferences, I gave you another email that's important, because I forgot to include the link. If you click this link here, it'll take you to my calendar, which as you can see is free this week, but next week, starting next week, if you click the little arrow up here to send yourself over, here are all the different sign-up slots. You can see a lot of people have already started to sign up. Here's all day Wednesday from 8 to 3. Take your slot pick. The reason I did this is because some people in the first hour don't want to wake up at 8 a.m. on Wednesday to do their portfolio stuff, right? Will she illegal for 9 a.m. And so I'm giving them an opportunity to take a good time they want. Obviously, don't skip your class in order to do this or get in trouble. But if your teacher's like, check it for 5 minutes and then see you later, right? And you know that's going to happen, sign up for a time. That's convenient. If you're like, oh my god, my teacher makes me watch every single thing the whole time, I can't leave. Well, sorry, first of all, we'll pray for you. Second of all, you have between, what is it, 10:43 and 11:17, they're supposed to be in my class, right? Then just sign up during that time, right? So pick any time you want. I have Tuesday times for those of you that want to go early. You might want to go early because if you make a mistake or you change something, then you can sign up for another class or another lot later to fix it, right? That can be useful. You can go later on Thursday if you want, which I do not advise, because then you move up and you don't have extra time. But if you need to, do that. I'm available from 2 to 3 on Tuesday and Thursday and all day Wednesday. Pick your time slot, sign up now. You can sign up in advance. Look at this. Every week after this, same thing. Okay? When you click it, see, this is next week. Okay? So maybe I want this time. This time slot will click between 12 and 1. So this is probably 12 o'clock on the dot. Yeah, 12 to 12:05. They have 5 minutes. Put in a description, you know, who you are, so I know who you are. And then if you want to do it on Discord or Google Meets. Okay? And that's what we'll meet. And then hit save, and then here you go. And then no one else can take your spot. Questions on that? Feel okay? Alright. We'll do that next Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday. You want to go earlier, okay? But you're sharing this with all my geometry classes too, so make sure you sign up and get there first. So sorry about all the emails. Make sure to check out the last 2. Show you at Discord. Today, are you on the Discord? You show up all the time? I think you and Mac did, right? Did you and Mac show up on Discord one time? Okay, so. Oh, it's Twitch. Okay. Let's look at members. Like, all this is all the posts, so that's kind of a little funny. If you go to members, this is my first hour class, which you'll notice is a pretty big class, and that's because Mika and Corinne are actually not part of my first hour class. They're part of my second hour, but they're in there because they want to see other people's stuff. Let's take a look at Chase's. Notice he didn't like fancy upbringing. That's fine. I don't need to. You're not getting marked off points or something like that. If you want to make it look fancy, do that because you want it to look cool or funny or whatever. Like on here, let's look at his what number is different. I'm going to read this aloud. You're going to give me your thoughts on it, okay? You're going to give me some comments about what you think he can improve or what you thought about what he said, okay? It says, what number is different? 9, 16, 25, or 43? In bold, he says, why is 9 the odd one out? Well, I believe that 9 is the odd one out because someone in our class said that 1 plus 6 equals 7, 2 plus 5 equals 7, and 4 plus 3 equals 7. And then you have 9, which doesn't work. 9 could also be different because all the other numbers digits go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you get to 9, and you have to have 7 and 8, and they aren't there. What do you think about that? What do you like? What are you confused about? What are your questions about? Suggestions? What do you think? Is it hard to read when I highlight? Oh no, I asked you what you think. You guys are all excited. We're not going to have authority in here. Yeah, no homework. Yeah. But here's the problem. Without having authority, you can't appeal to it. You can't say, well, I think this because that's what it says in the book. Well, this is the definition according to what I wrote down, right? You have to give your own answers. And that's kind of scary, isn't it? You're all excited. What do you think about this first paragraph? Yeah. Don't even look like you're raising your hand. I'll call on you. Let's look at the first sentence. Well, I believe that 9 is the odd one out because someone in our class said that 1 plus 6 equals 7, 2 plus 5 equals 7, and 4 plus 3 equals 7. And then you have 9, which doesn't work. There's some typos there, but I hope. Typos I can fix them. Unless it's like, I have no idea what you're saying here. What do you think about that first sentence? People online, you can play along as well.
I just say it's single digit.
Say it again?
I just say it is a single digit.
Ooh, is that what he's saying there?
I don't know. Something about all sevens. Oh,
Yeah. It's confusing. You don't know what he's talking about.
No.
Maybe he's talking about it that's a single digit. What is he saying here? Are you confused? It's okay to say you're confused. You guys are all on your Zoom calls and you're like, I have no idea what the hell's going on. You don't say anything, right? Don't do that! You can't learn unless you ask questions. Oh my God, that's the most important part. Again, what do you think? What questions do you have? Do you know what he's talking about?
Nope. Not at all.
1 plus 6 equals 7, 2 plus 5 equals 7, and 4 plus 3 equals 7, and then you have 9, which doesn't work. Maybe he's talking about a single digit. Leave a comment. You can highlight it and hit this. And you can be like, wait, what? Is this what you mean, or is this what you mean? What I thought he meant, and it took a little while to figure out, he's talking about the digits of 16 add to 7, the digits of 25 add to 7, and the digits of 43 add to 7. 9 doesn't. I think that's what he means. But it's unclear, right? And you went, oh, right? But you should be able to do that while you're reading. So comment that, right? You're like, I got it. I think this is what you meant. But I think you need to be a little more clear here. Because it looks like maybe you're talking about that 9's only a single digit. I don't know where these numbers are coming from, right? Be specific. Show me that. Look, I'm adding up the digits of 16, 25, and 43, and they all add to 7, right? Something like that. Next sentence. 9 could also be different because all the other numbers digits go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then to get to 9, you have to have 7, and 8, and they aren't there. What does he mean by that? You understand it? You have comments, critique? Yeah.
7 and 8 are in the number above, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So he's saying all the digits between these three numbers are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all there. But 7 and 8 are missing, and then you just randomly go to 9. That makes 9 different. Okay, that was mostly understandable. I think that's a good point. Right? Maybe you could fix it a little bit and point out these digits. One of the things I put in my comment was a picture here. And I said this is going to be a lot easier for people to reference, right? Not his fault, nothing wrong with that. He just didn't have it. Try and help him out, you know. All right, next. Why is 16 the number out? It could be because it's the only number that's even. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. You can only add 2 of the same numbers to get 16. What do you think about that sentence? You can only add 2 of the same numbers to get 16. True. You have your eyebrows go down. What are you questioning? What made your eyebrows go down? It's okay. It's okay. Totally fine. And if it turns out the question that you had in your brain ends up being easily answered, no big deal. You can only add 2 of the same numbers to get 16. You said true. Why is that true?
There's no other 6 by adding.
Really?
And she's like, well, there's other numbers.
You were thinking like he was thinking. 8 and 8, right? How else would you do it with 2 of the same numbers? And you were like, wait a minute, the way this is worded makes it sound like the only way to add to get 16 is 8 and 8. Can't you do 15 and 1?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying here? So I put a question. I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean?
But you said the same number.
You can only add 2 of the same numbers to get 16. The way it's phrased, it's saying you can only add 2 of the same numbers to get to 16.
You can add other numbers too to 16, but 8 and 8 are the same number.
Right, and I think that's what he means, but I don't think his words really say that. That's how you read it, though. But I think it can be interpreted either way. Later on, I was like, wait, what? And then I read the next sentence. 8 plus 8 is 16. The other numbers can't do that. Oh, I bet you read that, didn't you? You go on and read a little bit? That clears it up, doesn't it? But what he said before isn't necessarily true, so you might want to clean that up a bit, right? What he means is that all the other numbers you can't do 8 plus 8 to get, or 5 plus 5, right? In other words, the other numbers are odd. They can't be cut in half, right? 9 is 5 and 4, that's as close as you can get. The two numbers being the same, right? That's what he's talking about. Okay. Why is 25 the different number? When you multiply 1 and 6, you get 6. 3 and 4, you get 12. We will say 9 and 1 equals 9 because it has to have another number with it. I'll read the rest. 6, 9, and 12. Now 2 and 5, you can get 10, so it doesn't work out. What do you think? Don't know? What do you mean don't know? You don't know what you think, or you don't know what he's saying? Exactly.
He lost. Yeah.
Where is he getting these numbers from, right? That's the question you need to ask, right? Where are you getting 1 and 6? Where are you getting 3 and 4? And it took me a while. That's the digits of 16. That's the digits of 43, but they're out of order. It really would have helped if you did 4 and 3 instead of 3 and 4, because then I'd be like, oh, 43, right? And then what about 9 and 1? Because it has to have another number be with it. 9 only has a single digit, so he's saying put a 1 next to it, so it's double digit. Now, why do you think I have a problem with that? Because it would be 19 or 91, right? If you're going to make it a double digit number, what's the better number to go with, you think? 0, right. And that kind of busts his little idea, because now you have 9 times 0 is 0. But I think that's what he meant. It took me a while to figure that out. I think that's something that you could work on here. So you wouldn't have 9, 6, and 12. You'd have 6, 12, and 0. 2 and 5 gets 10, right? Which is not divisible by 3. That's why he's saying it sticks out. 25 is a hard one to find stuff for. Why is 43 the odd one out? I believe that 43 is the odd number out because it's the only odd number not able to be squared. What do you think about this? I believe that 43 is the odd number out because it's the only number not able to be squared. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you understand what it means? 43 is the only number not able to be squared. Don't read the next sentence. Or maybe do read the next sentence. What do you think he means by that? Not sure? Not sure. Okay, that's something to say. I don't know. That's a good answer. I believe that 43 is the odd number out because it's the only number not able to be squared. You said you agree. The way I read that is he's saying that you can't square 43. But can you square any number? 5 squared, 6 squared, 7 squared, 8 squared, 9 squared, 100 squared, 43 squared. I think what he means is you can't root it and get a nice number, because he says later, you can't multiply any common numbers to get 43. What do you think he means by common numbers? If I said list some common numbers, what would you list?
Like that number that don't have a 0.0005.
No decimals, right? That's what he means. He means natural numbers or whole numbers. And maybe he doesn't know what that terminology is, that's fine, right? But I think that gives us a clue of what he meant here. He's saying you can't get a root of 43, you can't square root it, because it'll give you a weird number, right? That's what he needs to say. All the other numbers you can square root, right? 9 rooted is 3, 16 rooted is 4, 25 rooted is 5, 43 rooted is some number between 6 and 7, right? Because 7 squared is 49, that's too high. 6 squared is 36, that's too low, right? So it's like 6 point something. I think that's what he means there. So this is a good post. Were there lots of issues with it and things that we corrected? Oh my God, yes. Right? But this is good. I can tell what he's saying. It took a while. Got some, I spent some time with it. Can he prove it? Yes. And should he? Yes. If you write about something, I'm assuming it's because you wanted to. So when I give you comments, I'm assuming that you want to make it better or that you want to do more with it. If you don't, that's cool. But I would argue, why are you writing about it in the first place? But fair enough. Maybe you'll come back to it some other day. Here's a comment I left, okay? Excellent start, Chase. It really was. I really like the formatting with the bold headings. It made it very easy to read, and that's true. Organization-wise, it was great. You know why we have paragraphs, right? It's not so you can be like, look, my paragraph essay. It's because if I'm talking about grilled cheese, and then I go on to talk about broccoli, I should probably separate those ideas. That way you know I'm talking about something different. Because then you're wondering, like, what does broccoli have to do with grilled cheese? Right? If they're in the same paragraph. They're separate. It's like, okay, new idea. It's organizational. You choose how to organize it. And he uses lots of paragraphs. He uses one for the 9, one for 16, one for 25, one for 43. That's really good organization. Bold heading, so I know exactly what I'm getting myself into. Should you do that all the time? No. Some problems don't work like that, right? You do it, but make sure it makes sense. Think about your audience. You did a good job there. Explain the 9 and 1 thing for 25. Remember we said it would be 9 and 0, right? Where does that 1 come from here? I get where it comes from in the 16 example, but not sure about the 9, right? 1 and 16? Oh yeah, totally get that, right? 1 and 6. Also, here's the picture. Perhaps you can ask the question to let people know what you're talking about. I actually missed this. Always a good idea to state the question or what you're trying to do. That way people can read it, a month from now and know what you're talking about. Not have to remember back. I missed the title, which I think a lot of people do. They really do. Most people just get right into it, right? So I would include a picture. Pictures grab you. And now we know, put a little caption, which one doesn't belong. Right? So shame on me, but also think about your audience. They're going to miss that, right? Also, would you be able to make your own problem? So I always try to include in my comment what they can do next. Not just what they can fix, but what they can do next. In this case, he did a really good job. Could he find a reason for 25 that doesn't suck? Yeah, he could. Could he find more reasons for the other numbers? Yeah, he could. Like, who cares? The next thing I was thinking of, can you make your own which one doesn't belong problem? You can do it with numbers, shapes, whatever you want. Think of your own reasons. See if other people can answer and comment, right? That's the next step if you want to go further. Here's how going further works. If you go back to something you turned in earlier in the year and fix it, you can improve your grade. So you can take a B up to an A or something, okay? You can always improve that grade. But once it's an A, there's no reason, right? But I want you to go back and always improve your work. So here's what I'm going to do. If you already have an A for that week, then if you improve something from the past, it will actually count towards your next grade. Does that make sense? It'll count towards your next grade. So a month from now, if he goes back and fixes these things, it will improve the grade he got here. But if his grade was already an A, it'll be on his next grade. So there's always a reason to go back and make things better. Always. I asked him what he meant by common numbers. I think I know what he meant. I sent him a link to a page that talks about natural numbers, whole numbers, fractions, decimals, right? What kind of number he might be talking about there. This is what a good comment looks like. Highly constructed. Says there's a few things that you can fix. Not because, oh, that's wrong. It's because I don't know what you mean. And as an audience member, you want to make sure I know what you mean. Right? Maybe I'm being a dummy, but that's fine. Your audience is full of dummies. And make it so dummies can understand. And then what can he do next? How can he take it further? Suggestion. Okay? That's what we're looking at here. Do you feel a little bit better about the portfolio and what I'm looking for? Yeah. When I say go and look at other people's stuff, I really mean that it's a good idea. It's a really good idea. Okay? Now, do I require that you have a certain number of posts per week? No. Because one person can do 5 different posts, and I know already they're probably 5 crappy posts, right? They're doing a lot because they're worried that they're not very good. It's really hard to have like 5 things in a week you really want to write about, Odds are you're just writing it to write. Now, if you do 5 posts and they're great, then good for you, right? But I'd rather have 1 really interesting post than 5 crappy ones, because 1, that's a much more of a waste of my time. And 2, I'd rather have, quality over quantity. So I don't require the number of posts. I also don't tell you how long it has to be. Length does not matter.
That's what she said.
Okay? Gettysburg Address. Anybody know anything about that? You know how it starts? You know who spoke it? Who gave the Gettysburg Address? Any idea? Mr. Ernst will be very upset. Gettysburg Address. What? Abraham Lincoln, that's right. Abe Lincoln, you know how it starts? 4 Fourscore and 7 years ago, right? Our fathers, right? Blah, 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 blah. Very famous speech, even though you guys don't know about it, apparently. He gave it at Gettysburg. Gettysburg was the bloodiest battle of the Civil War, bloodiest battle we've ever been. Very serious occasion. He was not invited to be the main speaker that day. Lincoln was a rather controversial president. They thought it'd be weird if he was the main speaker, actually. Talk about the reunification of the Union. Something we're still arguing about to this day. The main speaker did a speech that you have no idea about. You don't know who he is or what he said. It was over 1,000 words. Lincoln was the last speaker, and he was just going to close it out, right? Because he's the president. Gettysburg Address is 271 words. That's it. That's it. One of the most famous speeches of all time. 271 words. That's not a lot. I do not require you to write a certain number of words or have a certain number of paragraphs, but sometimes less is more. Think about poetry. Poetry attempts to tackle things like love, beauty, justice, truth, the simple things. And yet you can read a 10-word poem with perfectly chosen words and it will be exactly how you feel, right? Quotes are that way too. Sometimes being concise is better. Your boy can't do that, right? I need 100 words to say, I'm not a poet. Don't shut up. But if you can do it in 10 words, that's great. Some people need more. Do something you're going to be proud of. You finally have a class where you don't have authority punching you down. There's no memorization. Nothing's required. All you can do is learn. Take advantage of that. Don't be like, okay, yeah, now I can slack up, right? Do it. Take advantage of this. We've been waiting for this one. School sucks. School's boring. We don't learn anything. Now's your time, baby. Don't let the pitch go by. Take a swing. Miss, so what? You ever heard the expression, put the ball in play? Why do you want to put the ball in play? What might happen if you put the ball in play? No matter where you put it in play, what might happen? The defense might make a mistake. You might have the crappiest hit of all time. You might have barely touched it and it drops right in front of the catcher. But if it's in play, the catcher might make a mistake. You might outrun him and get on first. Put the ball in play. Don't be afraid to play. Don't let the pitch go by. Chase made mistakes here. Oh God, he made mistakes. It was a good post. This is really good. I can tell what he was thinking for the most part. And he had some good thoughts. Don't just be like, yeah, I thought this problem was interesting because it's like different. 7 plus 7 is only 14, so like weird ones too. Okay, but why do you think that's interesting? Why does that matter? Like, blue is actually red is, I guess, more interesting, right? But like, why does it matter? Tell me about it. If you're going to write about it, tell me why you want to write about it. Let's look at another one. Let's look at third hour. Let's look at Rowan. And again, yours don't always have to be like this. Like Rowan's wrote her kind of like a story and explained her reasoning as she went along, as they went along. Excuse me. So Rowan, and she included pictures and stuff, and that's fine. Look, here's her post. All right, today in our geometry class, our teacher gave us a problem. It was simple, pretty easy to solve, but we weren't supposed to solve it. Well, not like we were taught to. He wanted us to think through the problem, to break it down and see different ideas, and not just go, oh, I see a problem with variables, gotta use vectors. The problem was this: u minus 6 squared minus 32 equals 0. You guys remember that one? Something squared minus 32 equals 0, right? Now, when you look at this, I immediately started thinking about how to break down the problem and find what u is. That's not what we did, though. We said it like this: something minus 6 squared minus 32 equals 0. So obviously that's something minus 6 squared had to equal 32. Let me show you just a refresher. And this is one of the critiques I made. Pictures would probably help with this one, right? Words are hard. This was the original problem we worked on. Where was it? Well, I did just have it. At the end of class. Right? Something minus 32 is 0. That means something must be 32. Something squared is 32. Well, that's about 5, right? Squared is 32. Something minus 6 is about 5. Well, something must be 11, right? And if you notice, you guys probably didn't realize this earlier, What would you do if you did appendix on this? Wouldn't you add 32 to both sides? Wouldn't you then root both sides to get about 5? Wouldn't then you add 6? Dude, that's where appendix comes from. But instead of asking, what do I do next? Appendix, tell me. It's what makes sense to you next. Right?
Lunch today is rib sandwich, cooked carrots, baked fries, fruit, and milk. Just a reminder, there's no fast food to be brought in the cafeteria and delivered during lunches and free pizza. If you have paid for a parking pass, please stop in the office to get a form to fill out so we can get the parking stickers out. If you are unsure if you have paid, we can check here in the office. If you have not paid, the fee is $25 for the year. There will be a key code meeting today and tomorrow at 1:10 in the cafeteria at your school. Please plan to attend. If you or someone you know is in need of clothing, just to remind you that the
Why don't you
care
make these
department
announcements right now?
just has clothing in the corner by the library. Please take what you need by the end of next week. Over the weekend today, you could be standing next to someone who is trying their best not to fall apart. Whatever you do today, do it with kindness in your heart.
Thank you. So she goes on, and eventually she gets to, okay, so now we know that c equals the square root of 32. She explains it. She gets to the end, u minus 6 is about 6, and she says it's 0, which is wrong, but the rest of the explanation was great. I think here she used the plus sign instead, and that's why she thought it had to be 0. Or maybe she did 6 minus u in her head, looked around, you guys do that a lot, right? Doesn't get opposed. Anyway, get out of here. Work on this stuff. Don't wait a week to write about something. Write about it after you think about it. Treat it like a girl. Bring me your A game. Okay? Take care. Love you all. All right, bye, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.